Okay, time to introduce for big bad evil guys the evil cultists of the Yuan-Ti. So the Yuan-Ti and the monster manual, as you can see, are basically your evil serpents and everything. So they give the stats for the abomination, the malice on here. I won't get in too much depth and everything. So of course, they also get like the Yuan-Ti pure blood as well. So the concept of the Yuan-Ti are they are serpents, or they used to be humans or humanoids, and they basically gave themselves over to their transcendence to basically become serpents. So like the serpent kings of fallen empire. So harken back to maybe they could be quite possibly humans that became serpents. That what comes to mind is if you remember the original Conan movie with Arnold Schwarzenegger. Think of someone like Set with James Earl Jones. That comes to mind, and how you could introduce these as not necessarily a single big bad evil guy, but maybe as like a group or whatever. Think of like the cult of the dragon in the Forgotten Realms. What you could do is something like that with the Yuan-Ti, and like introduce them as like an organization like that, where they're just now starting to reappear, and maybe they were frozen in time, and or maybe they were in a sense asleep or something. They maybe in a hibernation, and what you could do is now they're now starting to reawaken, and or maybe they could have been on like a different plane of existence, and now they're just starting to come into like the material plane or wherever your campaign is being run, whether it's the Forgotten Realms, Greyhawk, Dragonlance, or one of your own design. What you can do, introduce the Yuan-Ti is they maybe have had ancient like temples wherever on whatever world you're running, and maybe they had to flee to like another realm. This gets into like the videos I did with like the Planescape multiverse, where you can get into like a concept like that, where maybe they had like a pocket or in the Shadowfell or something, or maybe like in the Outlands, and then they had to retreat because like maybe a brave group of heroes in the long distance past were able to defeat one of the purebloods that ran the whole Yuan-Ti empire, and maybe it spanned the continent or whatever realm you're running in, and now they've kind of faded into in a sense myth and legend, and the could quite possibly be like a lot of people are like, oh yeah, that's nothing. That's just a bunch of fairy tales to keep people in line and everything. So, like in the monster manual, whatever, they tend to say that they dwell in temples in remote temples in jungles, swamps, and deserts. So quite possibly you could come across one of their temples in like a swamp or a jungle or even a desert, and start off the campaign maybe you run a dungeon crawl for level 1 characters, and maybe they inadvertently open up a portal to in a sense, and all of a sudden you got some of these warriors, and so it could be like the uh, uh end scene for like the opening act of your campaign, and then you start in a sense uh, like I said, inadvertently open a portal, and these some of the Yuan-Ti warriors start coming through, and the climactic battle. So maybe that the group does is like I said, you use this as a kind of a introductory as a dungeon crawl. You go through maybe like 3-4 levels or so through the temple, and to get them hooked in, maybe a wizard or a mage guild or like an aristocrat like, oh hey, look, I just found this temple. I'm hiring a bunch of mercenaries or groups and everything, so I can go back and because he has a bunch of jewels and stuff that he found there. He's like, hey, look, I want to go back and delve deeper into this, and so through the whole opening scene or whatever, where you go through the whole temple. You maybe level them up to maybe level 3 or 4, for instance. Kind of use it as a kind of what their appetite, and the climactic of that opening scene is these Yuan-Ti come through the portal that is inadvertently opened, and then it kind of in a sense opens up the floodgate for these Yuan-Ti to come in, and like they're now like oh hey look, we're now back in our original realm. And like of course, think of like the Warcraft, like with how the orcs were on the Draenor, and like now they came into the world of Azeroth. You could use the concept like that, where now they're starting to like you could do like a whole campaign. So maybe like after like the PCs inadvertently open up the portal, you spend like levels from like level 3 or 4 in that opening scene. You level them up to maybe like a level 10. They're now starting to like try and in a sense like do battle with these Yuan-Ti or whatever. They have to retreat and then come back, and they find that like more and more like scouting parties are starting to come up, and then like they hear more reports of like different portals starting to open up in like other areas. So now they have to do battle with like the Yuan-Ti, and then like from like maybe level 10 to level 15, you have them run around like closing up all these portals, and then from like level 15 to like 20 or so, what you could do is you could in a sense introduce like the a Yuan-Ti pureblood or whatever as like a powerful wizard. And like from level 15 to 20, you meet the like over the course of like, the whole adventure, of course, you meet the Yuan-Ti pureblood, who's like the leader of all the scouting parties, and like you do battle with like the pure blood or whatever. And through the course of adventures all the way up to like maybe like level 20, what you do in those last 5 levels, like I said, like you end up doing like a battle with the pureblood and you're victorious. So like this could be like a whole campaign idea to introduce them. So like the first 5 levels would be like them inadvertently opening the portal and then going about and like doing battle with like the low level like minions and stuff. Levels 5 to 10 would be kind of like trying to go back and like reclose all the portals that are now starting to open. Levels 10 to 15, what you could do is then like the PCs are now starting to turn the tide. They're now starting to get more allies, and like being able to take the battle to the ever rising tide of the Yuan-Ti. And then of course like levels 15 to 20, the PCs end up taking the battle to the Yuan-Ti, and like it could be like a climactic showdown at like level 20 with the Yuan-Ti pureblood. And like it could be like in like one of the main temples, and like the climactic battle where like you defeat the Tianti pureblood and like close the portal that in a sense connects all the other portals, and you end up in a sense saving the world from the Yuan-Ti invasion and everything. So this is like how like you could introduce like not just one big bad evil guy, but like a kind of like a whole race as like a big bad evil guy. And like as I said, you could introduce it like over like a whole campaign, like starting off with like level 1 and all the way to level 20 and everything. And so like you might not necessarily have like in a sense like one necessarily main big bad evil guy, but you have like your big bad evil guy is like an entire race. And so now like you're trying to stop like an invasion, and like and through the whole course of this like a mystery of the Yuan-Ti, you find that like in a sense a bunch of like lost history of your world and everything. And it's like oh hey look, you get back into like maybe it was before pre-recorded history, and maybe like through magical means you're able to transport yourself back in time and like grab some like maybe some books and scrolls and stuff that were lost, and then like then travel back forward in time into your time. And with your now gain knowledge of like what happened when the Yuan-Ti had in a sense rose to power, and they controlled the world. But like through the course of like the actions of like heroes in the previous time, like in the pre-recorded history, they were able to defeat the Yuan-Ti and close all these portals and everything. But of course in like deep jungle or something, or like maybe in the deep desert, some of these like temples still remain, because like maybe they couldn't necessarily like destroyed the temples. And like the aristocrat that came across this temple with all the jewels and stuff that I mentioned, and like found one of these lost temples, and of course like grabs the PCs and brings them in. And so that in a sense sets off the whole campaign and everything. So like this is just like another idea to introduce a big bad evil guy, but not just like a singular like the frost giant, or like what I've done with the hobgoblin, the Rakshasa. This kind of introduces like a whole in a sense race as the big bad evil guys. So like it could in a sense like a laid out be a whole campaign unto itself. And of course like I mentioned, your major realms like Forgotten Realm, like your major campaign settings, Forgotten Realms, Dragonlance, Greyhawk, but it would fit just as well into one that like you create yourself and everything. And so like and in fact, I would say that that would be the perfect. This would be a perfect one to be able to do your own campaign set, and to hell with like the already written ones with the ones I mentioned and everything. You could, as a DM, write up your whole world, and this could be like something that you could use as like a world building tool to be able to do in a sense like your own create your own world that's laid out in the Dungeon Master guide and everything. So this is something, an idea that like people can use as not just a singular but a whole race of big bad evil guys that you could use as a world building session, and pretty much in a sense create your own world or your own campaign set.